Hey man, what's up? What's happening? You already know who it is and what it is. It's your boy Nephew Q, here to bring you another episode of Conversations with Q. And today I have a very, very special guest in the building. I mean, this man he has his own talent scout agency, and he's worked on projects and films such as They Clone Tyrone, which is on Netflix, All Eyes on Me, which is the autobiography of Tupac. He's worked on Charm City Kings, which is on HBO Max. He's worked on Hidden Figures, which is a movie about, these black ladies who worked for NASA. He's worked on Wonder Woman 1984, which is a DC film. He's worked on Ride Along 2. He's gotten people cast in all of these movies, TVs, and so much more. Let me introduce to y'all my new best friend, Bill Marinella. Bill, did I say your name right?
No, but that's all right, man.
Say it again for me.
Yeah, sure. So it's Bill Marinella.
Bill Marinella.
Marinella. You got to talk with your hands, yes. Just from the waist down. You have to talk with your hands.
So you're Italian for the waist down, huh? So that's just 3 inches. So let's get into today's show. So Bill, man, I got you here. First of all, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for being the guest. The whole movie scene is new to Lexington, right? And with Lex Studios being here, also, if you want to rent some podcasting space, make sure you hit up Lex Studios, that you can rent a podcast studio to get your podcast jumping. But you came here, well, Lex Studios, a whole new studio that they've been. It's the biggest movie studio in Kentucky. So the whole movie atmosphere is new to Lexington. So Bill, before I bring you to that, I want to take it all the way back.
Okay.
Bill, where you from, man?
I'm from Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio. Now, Cleveland, Ohio, as far as like movies is concerned and things like that, did they film a lot of movies in that area as you were coming up?
So when I was growing up, they had commercials and things, local stuff.
Right.
What happened was, I was in a lottery to go to a magnet school. I wanted to go to the School of the Arts. They had the School of Aviation, School of Arts, School of Math, and a couple other schools that I can't remember right now, but. So then I got to go to I got in the lottery picked, and I went to the Cleveland School of the Performing Arts, which was modeled after, I don't know if you remember the TV series Fame. Yeah. And the Fame School in New York City is a real thing. It's modeled. Right. And that's what these art schools, magnet schools, they call them, magnets to attract, magnet. So I went there to the School of the Arts, and while I was there, I saw Christmas decorations, because we used to take the public bus to the school. And we'd always stop at downtown. That was your hub, you go downtown. And I saw all these candy canes and Christmas decorations in the middle of July. The hell? I was like, what the hell's going on? And so I found out that they were doing a movie called A Christmas Story. So, but what they were really doing, I don't think it was July, it was like October. Okay. And it was a little bit too early, but so then they started filming a movie called A Christmas Story, which was by the Porky's director, Bob, I can't remember his name now. But he was a real famous director that did Porky's, a real crazy movie in the 80s. And so A Christmas Story with Darren McGavin and that little kid that said, my Ovaltine, that kid. And so I was an extra in that, and that got me the bug.
How old was you at this time?
14.
Okay.
Yeah, 14. Okay. And then so I quit. I didn't quit. I cut school that day, went down to watch them film the scene. And, I was an extra in the big crowd scene when they were at the shopping mall, where the Santa Claus hits the kid's hands when he climbs up, pushes him down. Right. So you can't see me. I'm in there somewhere.
I was just about to ask, if we go watch the movie, can we try to locate and find you in that joint?
I mean, I've looked and looked. I haven't seen myself, but I was in a whole mess of like 300 background actors.
Right.
And then come full circle, I decided, I was an actor, so I went to acting school, and I did some extra work. But then I did a movie called Teachers with Nick Nolte. They shot it down in Columbus, Ohio. Okay. And so they actually used the school, had gotten shut down. So the school was the production office and the location. It was called Teachers, directed by Academy Award winner Arthur Hiller. And I was in that movie, directed by him. And then there was a movie called The Light of Day with Michael J. Fox and Joan Jett. And I was in that movie. And Paul Schrader, Academy Award nominator for Taxi Driver.
Well, shit, Bill.
Yeah, so it just spiraled from there. So then I decided I'm going to move to California and really get in the movies. Right. But when I went to California, there were so many people that looked just like me at these auditions. It was like 300 bills. They all had blonde hair, Believe it or not, I used to have blonde hair. But
Okay, I seen. I was gonna say, hold on, you lying? You ain't had no damn blonde hair. But go ahead, though.
Yeah, it turned bright white. So I had all these. I would go to these auditions. I didn't even have an agent. A lot of people just back then in the '80s, you just crashed an audition.
You just
in the '90s.
went,
yeah, the
okay.
'90s. I went early '90s when I went to LA, but I lived in a really bad part of Hollywood, and but I loved it. You know, I'd walk down Hollywood Boulevard and you see all the trash. It was great.
See all the trash, and,
See all the trash. It was just
did you go Skid Row and all of that too?
I did. Well, back then that was almost like Skid Row. I mean, it was pretty nasty. People sleeping, on the cardboard boxes. It was just horrible. But they really cleaned it up now. It's all tourists. But anyway, I lived in Hollywood for a long time, and then I got into casting. And my first movie that I did the extras casting, I just helped a guy. His name was Terrence Harris. He had his casting company, and so I went to work for him as an intern. And my first film was Alien Resurrection, directed by Jonathan Genet. So, Jean-Pierre Genet.
Bill, you've been affiliated with some heavy hitters here.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate.
Yeah.
I look back and I go, wow, it's not like just some stuff that's on video on demand. These are big feature films.
Right.
And then when so I went down there and I did some work on Alien Resurrection, and I had a part in that, but that got cut. The director said I looked too American. Because in Alien Resurrection, everybody was supposed to be like a mixture of like 10 different races. Mm-hmm. And I just looked too American to him. But at first, he wanted me because of my big high forehead. and then I guess once I got into the costume and they took my picture, like, no, we're not going to do that. So anyway, that was kind of cool, though. So that scene got cut. But and I decided to start doing extras casting because I wasn't really that good in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. So then I started working at a casting office. So that's what I do now. I cast extras. And it's so a talent agent is who we use to find actors, right? Mm-hmm. But a casting director, that's me. I will get people from an agency and get people off the street to put them in front of the director. So I'm not a talent agent.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries. So the word agent implies commission, and a casting director doesn't take commission because it would be irresponsible of me to take money from you.
And I don't even get the part.
Yeah, and then so casting directors get paid the deal they have worked out with the studio.
Okay.
Agents get commission. So, but anyway, so I'm a casting director. I don't charge a fee, and I get paid to find real people to be in the movies. I get paid to find actors to be in movies. And we have principal casting, which is what the speaking lines are in a sense. We'll call them principal casting. And there's extras casting. And I didn't even know extras casting was a thing, but if you got to have a really artistic eye to look at things to, if you're working on a movie and they need a whole bunch of gang people and then a whole bunch of school kids, you've got to be able to differentiate who's going to be what.
Gotcha.
So that's the creative part of it, and I like it a lot. I enjoy it. And I travel all over the country making movies.
So, man, that was a lot. So we gonna break this down like a fraction.
Yeah.
No, that's all right. Hey, man, that's why I got you on
you let
here.
me talk, so.
Hey, man. When you interview people, they don't want to hear me. They want to hear Bill. So they want to hear your story. So let's go back a little bit. I want to go back to the movies that you were on while you were in Ohio. You said you worked with Nick Nolte. Mm-hmm. What was the other guy's name you said you worked with on another film?
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox. What was it like working with Nick Nolte and Michael J. Fox for like the first time as like your quote unquote introduction into the film world?
I was a smart ass punk kid, so it didn't faze me at all. But I know that, I was just like this 17-year-old, 14-year-old kid who just, doing my own thing. And they were actors. And the only reason I knew who they were was because we had movies, because you didn't see anything really on TV. Back then, they just barely had cable.
Right.
Nowadays,
everything is on everything.
So to me, it was pretty interesting. I just did what the director told me, and I didn't really know anything about acting. I just pretended, and I somehow got through it. Got my SAG card. I got through it. But it was pretty cool. The Nick Nolte was really great.
You remember any of your lines from any of those movies?
Yeah, fuck you.
That was your line? That was your line?
That was my line.
I thought you was telling me fuck you. I said, damn. Yeah, grand open, grand closing. We done here, folks.
So you'll see me in the movie called Teachers, and Nick Nolte's character and a teacher get into an argument or something, and the teacher comes, the security guard comes and pushes me away from this other kid, Crispin Glover, who's a real strange but unique guy, by the way. Crispin Glover's character had a gun to kill Ralph Macchio, because Ralph Macchio was in Teachers, so I worked with Ralph. And then the security guard pushes me away, and then Crispin has a gun because he thinks I'm trying to kill him. And so, anyway, he gets shot by the police that are there. And then my whole line was, fuck you. And I sat there for 3 weeks saying the same thing every day. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. So it was really exciting. And then I went to so that was Teachers, and the Light of Day with Michael J. Fox. It was something. I've said something at the bar, and Paul Schrader kept directing me, but I had the beer bottle, and I would set it down right on my line. I'd say, blah blah blah, blah boom, and they couldn't hear it, so they said, you have to do it one more, and I'm going to move on. I'm not going to film it. So I'm in the outtakes, but I'm not in the actual film. Oh, okay. But I still get residuals from that. And then I did a movie called with Paul Schrader again called Autofocus about Bob Crane. Mm-hmm. Do you know who Bob Crane was?
No clue who that is.
So Bob Crane played Hogan on Hogan's Heroes. Okay. And he was murdered by a man named John Carpenter who worked for Panasonic at the time, or Sony at the time, and they had the first VHS home black and white recorder. Mm. And so that's an interesting story. You'll have to look it up. It's too long to talk here, but it's really interesting. It's all true life story. And so, and then years later, I cast the TV series Cobra Kai with Ralph Macchio. So,
fuck out of here.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Full circle moment.
Full circle. So I've been very fortunate with all the things that happened to me, man.
Man, so when you got the acting bug, from 14 to 17, at that age, you want to be in the biggest budget movies out there. Were there particular movies that you wanted to play, like the roles that you really want to, gravitate towards, but just never worked out for whatever reason?
I always wanted to be like a comedy guy. Okay. But I kept playing all the assholes. I don't know how that happened.
How did that happen?
I don't know. Maybe I have asshole written on my face.
They just looked at you and they said, asshole.
Get that asshole.
They cast him as an asshole.
Get that asshole Bill Marinella. Let's put him in a leather jacket and just let him be an asshole. Because literally all three films it was asshole. I was fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. So.
And you really wanted to be like the comedic force behind the movie.
I was watching like Three's Company. I wanted to be like Jack Tripper and have two ladies and just like be on TV, and I was funny.
I want that in real life. Forget TV.
I wasn't that funny, but I had the Jim Carrey face, so that always stopped me in auditions because I would do all and I had no clue what I looked like. Because I'm just moving my eyebrows. It was like some big Andy Rooney push brooms over here, Push, and I was like, it was just like a worm. Like a big furry caterpillar across the face there.
Like Eugene Levy with them big old eyes?
Yeah. And so when it was just weird looking. I was an odd looking kid. Still an odd looking man.
Oh, man, I know you are right, man.
Oh, no, man.
That's what he told me downstairs. Yeah. But So we went to that. So what age were you when you traveled from Ohio to California? And what made you really want to make that move? Because that's a huge jump.
So I went to Florida first because Florida had Universal Studios and they shot the Golden Girls down there. Mm. But they weren't there all the time, and I didn't know that. I thought they shot that thing all year round down there. They didn't. They shot it in L.A. and then they come to Miami or Orlando 2 weeks out of the year.
And they knock all the episodes into.
Yeah, they would do. Yeah, and so, I always thought B. Arthur was such a hot lady. Just kidding.
I'm not, but go ahead.
No, but I had this crush. No. So, but it was a fun show. It was a funny show, and I went on an audition like twice for Swamp Thing, the original Swamp Thing with Heather Thomas or Heather Locklear. I can't remember which Heather it was. And then I had audition for the Golden Girls, and then a couple other like Nickelodeon episodics that they shot. But anyway, I got out. I started doing the live stunt shows, like the Batman Stunt Spectacular. You had the live. Yeah, I was the Joker. Mm-mm. Yeah, I was the Joker. The Batman.
How long was you doing that?
It's just a summer. Okay, just a summer. Okay. And I got blown up, so I didn't work there more than like a week because there was a pyrotechnic that went off and. I blew off something and went flying.
Okay, so they kind of shut down. Production.
They didn't shut down production. It's a live show, so I got blown off, and then what they call the understudy stepped in and took over the Joker role. Mm. But that's all right. I mean, it worked out for me because and then from there I went to California. So long story.
Blessing in disguise.
Yeah, exactly. Blessing in disguise. It's kind of fun.
And then we moved out to Cali. Once you landed in Cali, what was the first film that you was a part of?
Oh, that was the Alien Resurrection.
The Alien Resurrection was the first film that you was a part of. And did you say you had speaking lines in that? You said you did, but it got cut.
So in Alien Resurrection, the director, Jean-Pierre Jeunet, when we were sitting at the production meeting, he kept looking at me. And so they're French, so I don't speak French. And so... I was like, okay.
Yep. Just nod your head.
And so he just kept staring at me, and then I was told that they wanted me to be a part, and I was going to go down for my fitting, and then, I think I went for the fitting. They took some pictures of me, and then I was going to be told what day I worked, but that never happened because he said I looked too American. So that's an Alien Resurrection, and that was my first gig that I really cast any background on. It was great.
Wow.
Yeah, I made a ton of mistakes, man. I didn't realize that. I would book people the night before for the show, and I didn't know you'd book them 2 weeks in advance, so I made like lots of mistakes. I almost got fired.
for doing that?
Because I didn't
was
know,
that the show that made you decide, to pivot to casting?
Because it was so creative. I got to it was like painting a picture,
Yeah.
You get to paint with all the colors, So that's what I have fun.
So you started, casting director, correct?
Yeah.
Are there any, when you was out in Cali, are there any notable names that you maybe have cast, or a name that you cast but didn't catch on like people maybe thought he would have or she would have?
Yeah, I mean, there are several people that come into the office. I had gotten into Playboy TV, and then they actually were a very well-run corporation. And they would have Playboy models and things like that, and I would get like audience people for them, and so I met a lot of people, and then I would go to like the studios started calling, and they wanted butt doubles for actors, or like maybe somebody in the shower, you see them through the shower, but the shower is foggy, and they would want, it's like like Sigourney Weaver on Alien Resurrection was actually the first butt double I'd ever had to find, so we had to find somebody that Sigourney Weaver liked, so that when you saw her in the alien tubes, there was like 7 tubes, because at this point in the series, they were marrying the alien with the human. Mm-hmm. So it would be like the alien head and then the human body. Mm-hmm. And so there are different stages over the years in the script. So we have to find all these different butt doubles. So I had to find an ass double that she liked.
Double.
Yeah, and so so what happened was I started. People were asking me what I do, and it's on set. People heard, "Oh, who's this guy, Bill Marinella? I need to know." And so they all started calling me, because I started working at Playboy too. So they all started calling me. So I had like a little side business of getting body part models, for different various things. Anything from the waist down be things that I would.
You still do that?
Not too much anymore.
You need an assistant? You need some help with that?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's weird. Like, I used to get kind of hyped up and excited about it, mm-hmm. but not really because I was seeing like something that was, a lady or,
right.
What. It was just exciting to me that they were coming to me for questions. And who do you think, Bill? And I was able to negotiate deals for people.
Really?
So I met quite a few Playboy models that became centerfolds and became friends with them, and just
friends, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I will say though. I've never done the casting couch. I don't believe in that. I'm always very professional, and you got to make sure that you know where to leave that stuff at the door, so to speak. But at Playboy, we always had the door open, and then there was another person in that mm-hmm. center room, because they purposely put a secretary there. And so but I learned how to do it right. You didn't have to do anything that would be considered
inappropriate or anything.
Inappropriate.
Did you have a mentor, or was it basically just trial and error?
I worked with Terrence Harris a lot. He taught me a lot of things about casting, and then from there, from Playboy, I just learned by trial and error, because you still make mistakes. I make mistakes even to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Misread something, or misread a script, misread a map.
That's the only way that you can really improve, is by making mistakes. How you get better if you don't know where you went wrong at?
Yep,
you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So who are some notable directors? Because you said as a talent director, you see what the director needs, and then you try to find what the director. So who are some directors that you may have worked with, or some movie studios that you've worked with?
Oh, well, Netflix, Amazon, Angel Manuel Soto. He did Charm City Kings.
I love that movie, by the way.
And then we became friends, and he hired me for Blue Beetle. And then there was another project that was going to go, but it didn't wind up going. And then we had to do Charm City Kings twice, because we shot it in December, but it was supposed to look like summertime. And mm-hmm. then we were in Baltimore, and then the snow came, and nobody would take their jackets off. So you're matching stuff that was shot from summer. And then all of a sudden they got these big jackets on. And so, we came back, we did like 2 or 3 times we would do it. And so the producer on that, he does all the M. Night Shyamalan films.
Really?
Yeah. So his name is Mark Beanstalk. And so I don't know. It just
how do studios and directors find you? Like, how do they get in contact?
Well, we actually get a lot of our work through word of mouth.
Okay.
And word of mouth. And then I have a resume, of course. I get that out there, and some people they'll call you and they say, well, it's got 5, they call them man days. So if you need extras, we got 500 man days. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean 500 people. That just means how many times they need an extra. And that could be the same extra for 500 days, or it could be 50 extras for 10 days, or just they all have to not repeat themselves. So I started doing the extras casting. then they started always asking me, hey, can you help the principal casting find, it's like in a movie called, it was with, I think it was called The Informer. The Informant. It was with Bryan Cranston. Is it on my resume there? The Informant. Anyway,
it's on the long list of movies that I was looking at.
It's with Bryan Cranston, and it was called The Informant, but Bryan Cranston plays an undercover cop, and he goes down to like Chile or something, and it's all about drugs and cocaine, these cartels. And so Jeannie McCarthy said, hey, Bill, we need to find someone in Miami that can do Santeria, which is, they kill the chickens and the blood. And I found the real person that could do that. And so that guy killed the chicken in the audition, and she was like, oh my God, don't ever send me again. It was so gross. I said, well, you wanted the real thing. So I got known for the guy that could provide authenticity.
So Bill's that guy.
Yeah, and so then they actually had that man who was a bodybuilder, and he did some extra work, and he didn't speak much English. Him and his wife were both bodybuilders, and that's why I found them. And they practiced Santeria. He was a priest. And so he brought the chickens. He killed the chickens on camera. And then Bryan Cranston and him were with the main guy, and then one of them gets killed in the movie. So, I was able to provide people with the authenticity, and that's really important, I think. Just like, when I do films that are, and this is something I had to learn as we go along. We do a lot of slavery films down in the South. You got the plantations. And so we did Barry Jenkins, Barry Jenkins, he did Moonlight. He's won an Oscar. He's another Academy Award-winning director that I got to work with. And so he hired us to do the book based on Colston Whitehead, the Underground Railroad, which was the, what's that award, the giant award that writers, Pulitzer Prize winning. So we had to, so I had to go find people that are comfortable portraying slaves. Who wants to portray a slave? Well, you might want to portray a slave just because it's a period piece, and it's your ancestors. It might mean something to you, but you don't want to keep playing slaves. So what happens is you get you have to just get a whole new, fresh group of people. And that you have to be very sensitive with that. You have to let people know what's going on. You got, white people over here that are the landowners, and you got the slave owners, and they're in the same, they're eating the same lunch, and, you have to go down. It's the South. They still think they won. So you got to go down there. You got to go down there and listen, guys, you're going to hear some words, and I don't want you to say it, and I don't want you to be in character because you're not speaking, but you just have to be it. So things like that, you have to go down there and make sure that everything is done properly. You got to respect people, but you also have to provide authenticity.
Yeah, because Bruno, the director Bruno, who's here, in August, he had asked me if I wanted to be cast in a true crime series documentary. And he said, the reason I'm calling you and not texting you is because the guy we want you to portray is a rapist. And he said, I know, even though you don't have any speaking parts, that can be a lot for somebody to portray. And I appreciated Bruno, just like you said, for being upfront and honest and not blindsiding me when I get here and hey, you're going to play a rapist today. And I'm like, man, how you know I'm comfortable doing that? Like, what the hell? So I appreciate guys like you who are upfront and honest, like, hey, this is what it is. If you're uncomfortable, let me know. If you okay, we can get you there. So we got you in Cali. Now, what brought you all the way over here to little next to Kentucky?
Yeah, I mean, I was traveling all over. I was working in Baltimore, Maryland. I was working in Atlanta. I was working in Savannah. And I was working on a show in New Mexico called The Cleaning Lady. And so I did a series called Dark Winds. And but I bought a home about 3 years ago in Savannah.
Okay.
And then we had strike after strike. And this is all after the pandemic.
The writer's strike? Is that what you're referring to?
We had the writer's strike. Then we had the Screen Actors Guild strike.
Okay.
Then we had the IATSE, which is International Alliance of Stagehand Technicians. Okay. Then the Teamsters were rumored to go on strike, but we never got to a strike with them. But just those 4 strikes from probably November, December, all the way through June or July, that's half the year. So what did the studios do? They moved everything to Europe. So they already had contracts, so they didn't come back the next year, which is 2024. So we're still, I sold my house, no big deal, moved up here. And Tim, I've known Tim for 20 years, worked with him in lots of shows in Los Angeles. And so, I'm here. And this has a really good tax credit system here.
Yes, people. So, if you're out there, you want to create a film, listen to them.
Yeah, so I mean, it's you have a minimum spend, I think, of $250, which can go a long way.
Yeah.
So if you get 30% of that to put into post-production, that's you get that back.
You got $2.50 I can have? I'm trying to get some things going.
$2.50.
I got some. We talked about earlier, but my kids in my pockets. I ain't got nothing over here.
I'll have to Venmo you.
Yeah. So as a talent director, casting director. Do the directors tell you specifically what they're looking for, or do you kind of have an idea of, okay, this person to be good for this part?
Oh, I have a good idea of who they want, but you still have to listen to the director because I could be completely wrong, and you never want to leave anything to chance. So you got to be able to be a good communicator.
Right.
So I'm a good listener, and so I try to listen to everything, in as much as you can, and then give ideas, and then you don't want to bother the director too much, so you go to the assistant directors, and then you go to costumes. You make sure everybody's on the same page. You do a period film. Your waist is up here at your belly. Your waist isn't here. We say waist is here because that's what's on our jeans.
Right.
You'd be surprised how many people don't know what size clothes they wear.
Chuck, you know what size clothes you wear? See, he's 80 years old and he don't even know what he wears.
Pull it up and you look at it. Yeah, guys, we just do that. We brush our teeth. We put a little something in our hair. We roll out the door. Ladies, they got to do the hair and makeup. They got to get up an hour early before everybody else. So you do a period film or a film like Wonder Woman. We had call times at 2 and 3 in the morning.
Shit.
Just to get ready for a 7 a.m. shoot because we had
Costume
700 people a day.
Yeah,
it was 1984. And, people sometimes would not have accurate sizes. They'd show up for the fitting, which is usually done a few days before you film, and the costumers would be, hey, this guy said he was a 38, and he's actually a 42. But that's what people do. They just want a job. And they take a guess. And even if they know they're outside, somebody will be able to fix it for me. But, you can't change somebody's costume because it's real clothing from 1980. Okay. So, when we did the Underground Railroad, we used clothing from the Titanic, from the actual Titanic film. So, because that was set in and around a few decades before the Titanic. But the Underground Railroad was in, late 1800s.
So, as a casting director, we just recently had a casting call Sunday, I believe, from 11 to 3 p.m. at Lex Studios. Yep. I don't know. Do you know when the next one is, or if they're gonna have?
I'm not sure. So we did that just to make sure I can meet people in person. And the other thing is, like actors, you don't need a lot to get started. You don't need a resume. You just need to be able to listen well and that kind of thing. So, but also what you need to do is don't lie about your sizes because that gets me in trouble, and then I'm going to have difficulty hiring you. And the other thing is you don't need a headshot. Just start with the simple selfie.
Okay.
So, but if you want to be an actor and get an agent, they're going to require you to get headshots. But don't use filters. If you have a mole or something that you don't like, just use makeup to cover it up, and then take your photo. Don't use a stupid filter, and then you get here and it's like a lot of people, if they're a little bit. I notice that if you get older or you're a little bit heavy set, people use that shrinking filter. And it's like you can see it from here. It's like a pizza pie triangle. It's like it's all beautiful, and then the cheeks out here, and
it's like I see you, right? It's like I see you, right?
I can see you through that. Yeah, it's a little bit weird, man. But the good thing to do is just be honest. There'll be something for you eventually. Yeah, so
listen to them. The next casting call, listen to them so you can get cast in this. Do people send you audition tapes or anything? And what exactly goes on at these casting calls for somebody a novice like me? I'm sure Coach Truck. We don't and like I mentioned earlier, this whole film thing is new to Lexington, so a lot of people don't know what to expect or what's going on.
They shoot a lot in Cincinnati and they shoot a lot in Louisville, and so the most important thing you can do is any chance you get a chance to meet somebody, show up at the casting call. So they're not auditions. There's a casting call, and it's an open casting call, which means anytime between this hour and this hour, you can come down. You might be there an hour. You might only be there 20 minutes. I'll take your picture. I'll get you in the database. I'll answer questions. But really, it's more of a meet and greet. And it's not a lot. It's not like a seminar. Like you come on down, take a picture. How are you? What are you doing? Okay, what do you? You can show me your resume. I'll take a peek at it later. I'll put it in a bin, and I'll look through them later. But really, it's so I can size people up, meet people, kind of, As crazy as it may sound, man, sometimes you see people that you don't want on set because they're a little bit, they're not appropriate because maybe they got something going on in their life and they don't have a shower. So they haven't showered in 3 or 4 days. Or maybe they just, they have something about them that you can use but not on Steven Spielberg set, maybe on this
Something
set.
yeah,
because things that people do might be a little bit annoying. Like one guy kept biting his nails, couldn't stop biting his nails.
Like, dude, can you stop biting your damn nails?
Yeah,
please?
but you know, things like that, it's as silly as it may sound and as micromanaging as it may sound. It's one of the reasons why I meet people. 99% of the folks that come down are really great.
Yeah, and see, when I seen the casting call, I was confused because I was like, is this where they go to audition or like what exactly?
Sure.
And I'm pretty sure I wasn't the only one who had these, questions, and we really don't have anywhere to go to have these questions get answered.
Right.
So I'm glad I'm interviewing you. So the next casting call, people can come down and know what to expect and not feel like, oh, am I going to audition? Like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, no. Some people show up with their monologue, and I'm like, oh, we're not doing auditions today because that's an audition. Audition is when you come down and you audition in front of a casting director or producer with your monologue or the script that they give you, which is called sides, SIDES, sides. And so we want to see, how do you act? How do you react? Do you need the script with you all the time? And because I've seen little people, they read the script like this, and they put it down, and they stare at the other person. And like while they're reading the lines, you just see the crown of their head.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
It's like, are you reading or are you going to act?
Right. And so, but that's okay. That's why we're here to kind of differentiate that. I'll send something, like I give seminars. I don't do them frequently, but I do them, and they're very good. But it's kind of like an acting lesson, but just a one day, like 4 or 5 hours, and I'll have 25 people in there. But it answers all their questions, and it's a good idea to just get yourself in front of everybody as much as you can, as long as you have the free time. And that's the other thing, is always have a flexible schedule, and always have a way to get to and from work, because people from Louisville might want to drive down here, but that's like 90 minutes of gas and time each way. So it's going to be expensive. If you're paying $5 gas, $5 a gallon, you could. So if you really want to do it, and do it right.
Do it right. So what projects can you talk about that you just recently completed, or what projects do you have coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, sure. So as you know, we just did the true crime series here. There's another true crime of sorts similar to that's rumored to be coming here. And I just have a project in New Jersey that I'm going to go do for a few days. It's with Kiefer Sutherland, and that's going to be in Jersey City, New Jersey. And so we have some things here, and then we just finished up a very small project in Savannah, Georgia.
Wow, you don't say. Well, look at that, because I was like, man, I don't know how much information I can say, but when I came here maybe 2-3 weeks ago, they were shooting, and one of the assistant directors, he was showing me how they were shooting it, and it was shot in a different way, and I was like, oh, I've never seen it. He's like,
so vertical is the new way that they're doing things now for all the apps on your phone.
Right.
So Hallmark Channel, okay, now they're going to do something on the Hallmark app. And it's going to be, instead of 16:9, it's 9:16. So you shoot it. We normally shoot this way, right?
Right.
Now we're going to shoot it that way.
And
so the
crazy.
monitors are going to be turned that way. The camera's turned that way. And so that's so you can do this with your phone. And you'll watch 1 minute, and then the next day, 1 minute, and the next day, 1 minute. So that's what they're doing now. They're doing like an hour-long project, breaking up into 1 minute. And they edit it, put all the sound, and then you just watch. Every day you watch.
Is this the next wave in the industry?
It's the next wave, because everything is Instagram, Snapchat, Telegraph, and all that kind of stuff. So in addition to streaming and motion pictures, the average attention span, I think, is like 16 seconds. I was getting ready to say that, but if you can find an engagement for 1 minute, why wouldn't you do it again? So
because these kids now, if it don't capture them in the first 5 seconds, they scrolling on to the next one. So I can understand how the scrolling aspect of the minutes is actually really kind of genius going on. So for these next projects that you have going on, are you guys going to start doing another casting call for that?
We do an online casting call for those people that can't make it, just for a variety of reasons. And then, like I said, I like to do the in-person casting calls, make sure I know who the really good people are that look exactly like they say, because so many people use filters. It's really challenging, because and I can't ask you for your age legally, but if I ask for a college scene, I need college kids, and then somebody will send in a picture of them when they were in college, right? So, and then they show up, and the person's just a little bit wide, and maybe their hairline has moved from the forehead to their
little
afterhead.
further back. You know, hair color's changed a little bit.
And so you can't realistically play a student, right? So, but things like that are just one of the reasons. It's not anything bad. It's just I get it. Like, people want to work, and it's exciting, you know, and I get it. But you got to wait till I need the staff and the faculty. Don't try to be a student if you're 40, because when you're 40, you walk differently.
Lord, yeah.
You walk differently. You don't own that bouncy energy
that
anymore.
giddy up no more.
You don't have it, you know. And you're not smiling as much. When you're in high school, you're like, hey, I'm all my friends.
Everything's great.
Now you're old.
What do you
know, so people say, oh, that's ageism. And I said, well, I don't know what it is, but, you know, I can't have that when I'm booking these particular roles.
It just
but I can
is what it
use
is.
you, but not in that, you know. And that's just it. Acting is so subjective, you know.
Right.
And even background acting, it's like reacting. You know, you don't want to do too much. You have to listen very well. And then some people I know many people that started out as extras that work in crew now, like tons of people. I gave them the opportunity. And it's weird. I'll get a message like 5 years later on Facebook. Hey, I just found you on Facebook. I'm a van driver now. Oh, great. Started out as an extra.
Wow.
Because, you know, not everybody wants to be an actor once they do extra work.
Yeah.
And then they see the person moving the lights, or they see the person with craft service. I think I got like 14 or 15 people I know in Georgia when I first came here on a show called Drop Dead Diva in Georgia. And they had what's called craft service, which is a man or a woman that has like a little van, and they put all the snacks and all the drinks, and then they constantly refresh. And so a lot of times background actors just sit around, and the table's right over there, and they all start talking. And then, hey, I'd like to help you. Oh, well, we're already crewed up. Like, well, here's my car. And then eventually, a year later, 2 years later, they're all in the union now, craft service.
That's
making a living.
Making a living.
Yeah.
That's how my guy, you know, Truck, he wants to get behind the camera and all of that type of stuff. And I hope that works out for him. You know, before I get you out of here, really quick questions. What would be your dream movie to cast for?
You know, it's
and the actors included.
I like to do period films, like set in the 40s and the 50s. Mm-hmm. And so any of that genre that would take place maybe overseas, like in Paris, or some luxury like location, you know. I've done some 1940s, 1950s projects, obviously here in America, but I'd like to go overseas. And so Europe is great. I kind of like the cobblestone streets and that kind of a rainy, dreary feeling. And then there's just a couple of sporadic summer days, you know. But there's so many talented actors out there right now that I would just have to go through miles and miles of audition tape to figure out who to work with. But there's just too numerous to mention. Yeah, and my brain would go into overload because I'm like, I have to see it. I'll go into a brain coma. Okay.
You ever thought about dipping your toe back in the acting water?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I get asked all the time. Peter Berg asked me to do something.
No shit.
Yeah, and I did a movie called Hell Dorado with The Rock when The Rock was just getting a little bit famous. Mm-hmm. And that's when he had hair back then. He had like a slight fade. Mm-hmm. And then we worked with him on Ballers. And by the time
that's a great show.
I met him with Ballers, it wasn't him that changed. It was the people around him that changed. Mm. And he got so busy because he's now a businessman. He's not just The Rock, an actor. He's like
he's Dwayne Johnson now.
He's got 10 businesses.
Right.
So I was going to go say hi, and the people like, hey, Bill, come on over here. So I never, you know.
You couldn't even
but I'm good friends with his stuntman, Tanawai, and he looks just like him. So, but I mean, those are opportunities for me to be in front of the camera. And then, what's his name? I did The Librarians for Dean Devlin up in Portland, Oregon, and there's a famous actor, I can't remember his name right now, but he's on The Pit. It's the medical drama. What's his name?
You know who he's talking about, Chuck? No, The Pit. Okay.
So anyway, but he asked me if I wanted to be. He said, "Don't you want to play the criminal?" And I was like, "No." He goes, "Are you sure? You got a great face." I'm like, "No." He's like, "All right, are you sure?" And I was like, "No." So I booked the guy to play the criminal, and the guy didn't show up that day.
Of course he didn't.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's just Noah Wiley. That was his name.
Noah Wiley. Okay.
He directs. Yeah. So, but I have a weird little connection for everybody. So I'm very fortunate. So.
You're like the what's his name, Kevin Bacon. How every 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Yeah.
I met Kevin Bacon, 2024. January 1st of 2024. I went out to visit my friends. I stayed a few days past the New Year. Walking across the street. Green hat, dark shades, Kevin Bacon. Just came by, gave him a fist bump, and I kept on walking.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon strikes again.
He was at Lassen's grocery store. right in Los Feliz. I was like, oh, Kevin Bacon.
What are the odds?
What are the odds?
What are the odds?
The real Kevin Bacon.
Real quick. You worked with my guy Truck. How was he when he said you was his partner as a detective or something like that? Yeah. So what was he like, man? I wasn't there for that.
He's a little. I don't know if I can say
You can say that. You can say. Hey, it's just me and you. Ain't nobody listening. It's just me and you.
A little demanding.
Is he?
A
Was he?
little whiny.
Okay, that tracks. That sounds just like him. That sounds just like he is always somewhere whining and complaining about something.
Yeah.
And you know that guy you talking about the biting your nails?
Yeah.
That's him.
That's
that guy.
I don't know. He's got a lot of chutzpah, but I don't think he's gonna make it.
You don't think he got it?
He should go back to
he's probably
go back to the corporate world.
Dealing drugs like he's been doing for the last 50 years. Hey, FBI, Donald Trump, anybody who's listening, I am just playing. I am just fucking playing. He does not do that. No. But yeah, man. He said he did all right. How many days did y'all shoot?
It was just one.
It was just one day.
But working with him was like a week, man. Whew. That's a lot.
I could tell you so many stories about working with this guy, man.
That guy.
I came over here to get rid of him. He follows me over here.
That's saying.
And man, my goodness. So I'm gonna put your QR code down there so anybody who wants to sign up.
It's castbmc.app. castbmc.app/talent. And you could go online and check it out. Get your profile.
Scan the QR code. If you can't scan the QR code, listen to what he just said. Go on there, get your profile. Do they need headshots?
No,
is it a requirement?
You upload your own headshots, but there's a video that shows what we like so that you don't do the stupid Instagram thing.
The selfies,
I can't see, people don't know. Directors want to see your face, and you can't go on there with a hat and sunglasses where I can't see your face. Who would want to book you? Yeah. Let's think of it as a dating app. Would you want to date somebody that you can't see their face? So that's kind of
depending on the guy. Depending on the guy, he might be like, I don't care what you look like. So
it depends what they look like from the waist down.
Yeah, so some guys don't care nothing about none of that. But Bill, thank you so much for taking time to come talk to me, have a conversation, and please fill out that information. Come holler at the casting director, Bill. Tell him Q Walker sent you, and if you don't tell him Q Walker sent you, tell him Coach Truck sent you. But Bill, thank you so much. I do hope that you stick around in Lexington. You said you was moving here, right?
Yeah, I'm going to move here from Georgia. Yeah.
Even you driving the RV?
I'm going to drive my RV back up here. Yeah. Live in my little tin can.
Man, how big is your RV?
40 feet. It's like a Greyhound bus. It's too large. I can't stand it. I just park it, and I'm just going to park it and be in it, and I ain't driving.
I don't blame you. But anyways, we getting ready to get on up out of here. Thank you to our special guest, Bill, for dropping by for a conversation with us today. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Conversations with Q. If you can't watch me on YouTube, make sure you download the podcast on all major podcast streaming platforms. We getting ready to get on up out of here. Oh, one more thing. Happy birthday to my kids who have birthdays in March. I got Calvin tomorrow. He's turning, look at Coach Chuck laughing. I got Calvin tomorrow, my son. He's turning 12. Little Quentin birthday is this weekend. He's turning 14. My daughter Malia's birthday on March 20th. Wow. She's turning 5. Yeah, so we know when I'm fertile. Wow. So we know when I'm fertile. So my daughter Malia, her birthday is March 20th. She will be turning 5 years old. So thank you. Happy birthday to all of my kids. Thank you, Bill. We get ready to get on up out here as always. Treat somebody how you want somebody to treat your mama. I'm about this thing, y'all. Peace.